So I've sat here and I've defended the Browns' Deshaun Watson for pretty much since they got him. At the time, I thought it was a good decision. I said personally, I would have done the same. That's what I said. And at this point, I'm out. I'm out on it. He's not going to be able to get them to a point where he can lead them to a Super Bowl. And I'm going to explain here why. But if you're a little more optimistic than me and you're a Browns fan and you want to hold on to something and you want to look at the positives, I'll give you a few factors that you could look to why this happened, why this game was so bad. I'm more on the negative side of this right now, but I'll give a list of positives to why we could have solved this. One of them, the Cowboys have a really good defense. It's a great defense. Micah Parsons is one of the best defensive players in the league, and he can rattle QBs. So that can happen. Another factor that you could sit there and put into perspective is that he had some tragedies that struck him before that game. Like his father died like 4 days ago. His teammate died a day before the game. It was, those are tough spots. Mentally, that's tough to overcome. And then also you have that terrible shoulder injury that he's coming off of where they had to reconstruct it. And the reason that I can't look at those as the only answer is because we haven't seen the production that I thought out of him. And I think I got to kind of come to the conclusion he might not ever be that guy that was on the Texans again. He might not be. And it's crazy to think about that because it's like kind of like a what happened kind of thing. What happened? It's so rare that you see this. Like 2020, he's leading the league in passing. He's so dynamic on the ground. He's so dynamic with his run like athleticism ability. Like he was drafted, I believe in like 2018, and this was before like Lamar Jackson popped. Like before people were talking about Lamar Jackson, they were talking about Deshaun Watson's athleticism. And now it's like he doesn't have that gear anymore. Deshaun Watson was always never the most accurate quarterback, but his athleticism and his kind of short strategical passing is what really carved up defenses and got him in spots. Because when you're able to run out of the pocket and you're able to extend plays the way that he's able to, it just makes you such more of a threat. You have a lot more receivers open at different times. But I don't think he has that anymore. I don't think he has that step anymore, which is giving him problems. And other than that, though, I think it's just a big list of problems that he's going with right now. I think a lot of it's mental. I think that it's just been, if you looked at him, he's done a lot of losing. And I'm not talking about on the field. He's done a lot of losing since 2020. He had a really bad season his last year in Houston. He's had the tragic passings of the family members. He had obviously the scandal that mentally I don't think he's recovered from. And I think his confidence is just shot. And when you're a quarterback, your confidence cannot be shot. Can't be shot in this league. You will smell that from a mile away. The worst part of this all is everybody, including me, was demanding get rid of Baker Mayfield. Get rid of Baker Mayfield. Look at them today. Today, Baker is probably a better option at quarterback. Statistically, from what we've seen in the last 10 games, put them side by side next to each other, he's probably a better quarterback. And if you would have told me that 2 years ago, I would have laughed in your face hysterically. But it's true. It's where we're at right now. It's where the Cleveland Browns are at right now at their quarterback situation. And it's crazy, but he's just not the same guy. So initially what you think from this, you're like, okay, let's play out this year. Maybe bench him for Jameis. Let's see what's going on. Luckily, we have our pick. Then we'll cut him at the end of the year. Well, we can't do that. My bad. The Browns cannot do that. They can't cut him at the end of the year. Because if they were to cut him at the end of the year, The Browns would have to take on $170 million of dead money. To put that in perspective, the most dead money that has ever been taken on in NFL history is Russell Wilson at 80, and it was split like 40-40. So that's not going to happen. And then you look at, let's say you cut him the year after that year, there's still going to be $100 million of dead money just in the 1 year. So he's uncuttable. He's untradeable. You're stuck right now in Cleveland. You're stuck with him. And like I said, I hope that he turns it around. But from what I've seen, aside from one small brief half in Baltimore, and even with that half that I've sat here and praised about how he was able to beat the Ravens, by the end of it, he's injured. And we don't know if his shoulder is the same anymore. The whole game, I'm looking at him, he's touching his shoulder. So you add the mental, like whatever's going on with him, and then you put in the shoulder reconstruction thing, and it's like, this is a mess. And I think there's only one way out of this if you're Cleveland. And what you're going to have to do is they're going to be a mid-level team, I think, this year. Their defense is too good for them to be terrible. You're going to have to draft a quarterback mid-first round, and because you're not going to have to pay him much, and you're going to have to hope he hits. You cannot sit, and I think that's going to be the biggest thing if this continues, is you're going to look back at this team and these teams, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, we wasted one of the best defenses that we'll ever have, that we probably will ever have. We wasted one of the best defensive players in all football. We wasted his prime because we couldn't get it right at quarterback. And aside from quarterback, they're not giving him much help weapon-wise either. Aside from Cooper and Njoku, that is a joke. That is a joke offense. I get why they were looking for Ayuk. Judy is okay, but like Elijah Moore, there's not much going on there. Jerome Ford was okay last year. They need Chubb back, and that's another question. You don't know what Chubb is after that awful injury, and it just keeps stacking up. So they've dug themselves into a hole. They're not going to be among one of the worst teams in the league. That's not going to happen because their defense is just so darn good. But it's a tough situation. And like I said, going back to the factors that I listed of why he might have played that bad in that game, still, guys, I understand the O-line might be shaky and Dallas has a good defense. We paid him that guaranteed money. The Browns paid him that guaranteed money so that he could overcome those issues. If you look at him stat-wise next to all the other guys they've plugged in, like Flacco, PJ Walker, DTR, all those guys, the numbers are identical. So the numbers are actually a little bit better on the other side. He was brought in and paid all that money by the Browns. He was brought in to overcome that, and he hasn't. So I just want to put that out there, what I think's going on, what I think needs to be done for the state of the team in Cleveland, and just that the fact that I can't really back him anymore. And I know there's a lot going on, but he's not going to be the guy he was in Houston anymore.